of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio. It's the finals of the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. Hello, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner along with Mike Durbin. Well, we've come to the end of the trail here on the PBA Summer Tour on ESPN. The Senior Championship here in the Hall of Fame City. An interesting cast this evening in the championship round. We've got a little bit of everything tonight, Michael.
Well, we certainly do, Dan. What's most interesting is that we have 4 guys on our telecast this evening that have never won a PBA Seniors singles event. And then we have one fellow who has, and that's our defending champion, Glenn Allison. Well, what's more interesting is this is our 7th PBA Seniors Championship tournament, Dan. And the previous 6 winners have all been different individuals. And this year, those individuals were awarded a red coat emblematic of the PBA Seniors Championship. So we've got 4 guys tonight trying to get that red coat, and 1 guy trying to get 2.
And Mike, in essence, the PBA Seniors Tour is growing as well. 115 players started out this week. We're down to just the final 5, and we'll start in the number 5 position with a man who led this tournament a year ago, Bus Oswalt.
Hung on last night. He had a rough time and just barely hung on to make our championship round. He's a tough match game player, can bowl real good on those tough conditions. Needs to win 4 games tonight, though.
Mr. 900 will start out of the number 4 gate this evening.
Our defending champion, Glenn Allison, just hung in there all the way, ground out, made a lot of splits, and somehow got on our show tonight. He says he doesn't even know how.
Quiet Glenn Carlson out of Fresno, California, will start in the number 3 position.
Bowling in his 2nd PBA Seniors event, and this is his 2nd championship round appearance. Still looking for his first victory, though.
And the lone left-hander on the telecast this evening, Darrel Curtis.
Making his first appearance on national television anywhere. Those butterflies got to be flopping in his stomach.
And Mike, I think really the man to beat tonight, probably the best senior player at this point in time, Teata Semiz.
Has won already a PBA Senior Turning Pro Doubles Championship with Joe Berardi. He wants to get his first Senior Singles event championship. I can't get all those words out, Dan.
Mike, let me ask you one quick question. The seniors don't get a chance to bowl that much in championship round. Will they be nervous tonight? Will they have a hard time with the lanes?
Well, these guys are all experienced players, but I think Darrel Curtis is definitely going to be a little bit nervous. The rest of them, I think, are experienced players, and I think they're going to do very well. I think the scores are going to be in the 210 to 215 to 220 range.
Last year, we had just a terrific championship round. We're hoping for the same here this evening from the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame City. Stay tuned. The opening match is up next. And a little revenge perhaps in store for Bus Oswalt. He lost last year to Glenn Allison. They're up next in the opening match. Will history repeat itself here at the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame City? Well, only time will tell. It was last year, nearly a year to the day, that Bus Oswalt and Glenn Allison matched up for the PBA Senior Championship. Here's a look back at last year's action. 19 for the victory here in the 10th.
He's running it out. He's got it! Oh, what a seesaw match back and forth. And Allison says 22 years. He's got that smile of victory, but he still needs to get 9 on 2 balls.
And obviously stay well behind the foul line in the process. But that was the clutch shot. Boy, we've seen some unbelievable bowling this summer, capped off by the seniors here at the Hall of Fame lanes. Couldn't ask for anything more exciting. Glenn Allison now a study in concentration. Sees that title right before him. Just has to be careful. Swings it and leaves the 7-10. He turns around, looks into the crowd, and realizes he needs
one of these. He's got to get one of these.
Got to go for the 7, right, Mike?
I would go for the 7, yes.
I would too. It has to be easier to make the 7-pin. Here you see the shot. Allison running it out all the way. Not enough juice, though, to clinch the victory.
5 went right in front of the 7, so did the head pin. And he was thinking that he'd at least get 9 on that.
This is it for the title. Hang on. Double bounces it. Stay on the lane, and it...
Oh, it barely did!
Bus Oswalt with a smile on his face. You couldn't have asked for a more exciting, titillating finish than we had this evening. The fans are on their feet, and it's a shame that somebody had to lose, but you go back to the 4th frame when Oswalt didn't convert at least 1 pin on the 8-10.
And there you see the defending champion. We're now live at the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio. Opening match between Glenn Allison and Bus Oswalt. The only difference between those two, this year and last year is the fact that Buzz doesn't have a mustache anymore.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, opening shot in the opening match of the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship.
It is ironic that they wind up bowling each other again this opening match.
Well, it's not for the title, but one of them, if they get hot, may climb the ladder here this evening. And Buzz Oswalt, well, he left an 8-10 in the 10th frame last year, or he really could have locked Glenn Allison out.
And last night, Dan, he had a lot of trouble. He lost all of his games, and the reason was that his ring finger was infected and really was bothering him. He went to a doctor today, and he says it's much better. And he bowled the last 6 games last night with only 2 fingers, the middle finger and his thumb.
Glenn Allison out of Whittier, California, and it's Pack City on the right-hand lane. Championship pair, 39 and 40. And here's an up-close and personal look at Glenn Allison. He's the elder statesman this evening at 57 years of age.
Seems impossible to me that Glenn could be 57 already. 209 average this week.
A game of 275, and he also posted the finest match play record of our television finalists this evening, 13 wins and 5 losses. Doesn't look 57, does he?
Student of the game. Throwing a conventional grip. And we might mention as he leaves that soft 10 that he's using a 15-pound ball. In fact, it's actually about 1 ounce lighter than a 15-pound ball, about 14 pounds, 15 ounces.
Mike, what are your chances of carrying with a ball that's that light? Don't they diminish?
Well, actually, the reason Allison is using it is because he thinks that they increase. He feels that the power that he puts on a bowling ball with a 16-pound ball makes the ball hit the pins too hard. He leaves too many solid 10s and what they call hard wraps, so that he'll carry a lot more of those on the solid hits with a lighter ball. The penalty is that when you come in half pocket like that, sometimes it's a little hard to get out that weak 10.
Buzz only had 1 game on the championship here this week in match play competition. There you saw it was 224. About a medium scoring pair, lanes 39 and 40. Buzz told me as he strikes in the second that he's playing much further out this evening than he did throughout the week.
He was playing closer to the second arrow. As we see, he's just a spry 51, and his 1987 average just a little short of 200. Averaged 201 this week, but he was averaging much more. He was leading the tournament going into the last 6 games and just really had a lot of trouble. It was a long 6 games for him last night.
Boy, very thrilling position round game last night. Really amazing. Oswalt trying to remain perfect through 3 frames, gives us a little too much room, and all of a sudden the 2-pin goes down, got whacked from behind.
And his family looking on. You're going to see the head pin go right to the wall here as Buzz gives this one a little bit too much room with not enough lift. Right about over the 8th board, and won't make it back. But watch the head pin go to the sideboard and come back off. That's a direct result of the modern day pin with 2 voids in it and a laminated wood. Flies much faster.
Boy, Allison really spins the ball. He's got kind of an unusual release, doesn't he, Mike? He opens up the hand.
Opens up the hands and goes over the top of the ball as he throws it. And you see the benefit as we watch Glenn from the front. Watch his follow through. Free swing here. Head steady. Watch his eyes. See the hand open up as he lets it go. Good follow through. He tripped the 4 with that lighter ball. He might have left a 4-9 with a heavier ball.
It's amazing. It looks like he's introducing himself. He wants to shake hands with everybody as soon as he throws the bowling ball. Looking for the double, though, to try and tighten things up. Oswalt has already struck in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That one got inside of his target, but the ball held at the last second. And so Glenn Allison, the defending champion here, comes back with a double. He still trails. And back to live action here in the Hall of Fame city. Buzz Oswalt perfect through 3 frames. I think he's going to need to shoot a big game, though, because Allison's lined up already.
Boy, knocked that weak 10 out. Now we see the difference. Allison with that light ball left that weak 10, and Buzz Oswalt with the regular 16-pound ball knocked it out. So everybody can make up their mind which is the most benefit.
Last year was the top seed in this event and lost by a pin, 201 to 200, and he's got to be thinking about that championship game of a year ago.
Right. And in qualifying last year, he averaged a whopping 244 for his first 18 games.
Yep, that's a PBA senior record. Is it 5 in a row? You betcha. On the left-hand lane, lane 39, Buzz Oswalt is off and running.
Buzz says, hey, that wasn't the real me that was here last night. The real me showed up tonight. Allison, a little shake of his head there. He realizes he's got to get 2 strikes here just to keep it close.
Glenn will be the first to tell you that he's a bit surprised that he made the championship round this evening. Said he didn't bowl particularly well yesterday, but he won 13 of 18 matches, and that was the key. So he obviously threw some great shots in the clutch, and that's where he's at this point. Right back in the pocket, another X in frame number 5, and so Allison works on a turkey of his own.
And you watch his follow-through, and when it goes straight through and that hand opens up, the ball's almost always in the pocket. But when that follow-through goes left, then Glenn usually comes up light in the 1-3. In fact, usually he doesn't, really get into the 1-3. It hits the 1-3, but the 1 pin never hits the 2. He can cut it to 10 pins with 1 more right here, Dan.
Glenn Allison, an ABC and PBA Hall of Famer. Mr. 900, they call him. He shot 300 games in succession. He knows what it's like to strike. Likes this one down on one knee and shakes a fist at the pins, and we got a dogfight here in the opening match.
Watch the follow-through. See the swing? Now watch the follow-through. See the hand open up like that? Right about 7th board. Right on line. It was solid from the minute he let it go, and he knew it.
Well, I'll tell you, when the seniors go down on one knee, there's a chance sometimes it might not get back up. I'm not going to.
That's nasty.
That was.
Has to hurry.
Oh, 2-4-5 as Buzz Oswalt giving it plenty of room. Last time tripped to 2 on that lane. Do you think he made an adjustment, Mike?
Well, I think Allison's 4-bagger put a little heat on him, and he just didn't throw the ball quite as well.
Well, you might be right.
The spare was missed a lot during the week. 2-4-5. Oh, yeah, he missed them both. Boy, badly. Got to hit that lead pin. Remember, that was one of our tips on spares and clusters like that 2-4-5. You've got to hit the 2 pin here. You can't make it. And he's so worried about the chop that he goes right on by the 2 pin, has no chance to make that spare.
Ball seemed to hook early for him, too.
And suddenly, he goes from a lead to a 7-pin deficit, and Allison says, I still got your number, Buzz.
Pretty consistent week until the final 6 games last night for Buzz Oswalt. Let's see if he can bounce back here. Oh, nice shot. Well, the sign of a true champion, somebody who comes back with a big shot when they need it. He's 7 pins down. Allison works on the 4-bagger, so stay tuned for more action. And there's the beautiful Ebonite trophy. And a nice big paycheck will go along with that this evening to the champion. And there's the gentleman right there responsible for it, Mr. Tom Malloy, the president of Ebonite International, made the trek up from Hopkinsville, Kentucky earlier today. Big bowling fan.
Off to a good show so far tonight. He's
Oh, yeah.
Some nice bowling. Allison looking to increase his lead from 7 to 17.
Well, he's always been a player that's been able to take advantage of an opportunity. Has 6 career titles to his credit. Boy, he's right back in there flush again. 4-pin, thought about standing, but it was only momentary.
And again, that light ball has struck 6 out of 7 times. So who's to say that he's wrong? He's just a little bit left with this one. Follow through went a little bit right. Watch the 2-pin just clip the 4. See it nick it as it went by. Almost left it, but just clipped it.
A glancing blow.
Yes, very glancing. Up 17 can increase to 27. Looks good.
Oh, looking for the wall shot. Doesn't quite get it. And so Allison finally stops striking in the 8th as Buzz Oswalt checks out the overhead telescore. Excellent crowd in hand. Good crowds this week. They enjoy bowling here in Canton, Ohio.
And they're used to seeing the seniors here every year. This is the 5th consecutive year that they've hosted a tournament. Actually, the 6th consecutive year here at Hall of Fame Lanes.
And the cross alley spare, and we might mention at this point in time that Janet Bueller, the wonderful hostess here at Hall of Fame Lanes, still recovering from a recent accident, and I know she's home and probably glued to the television, and she's already invited the seniors back again next year. Janet, take it easy, relax, and we'll have you tap dancing on the approach next year.
Right. And Allison kind of gave a little fist to that 7-pin as he made it easily this time.
You know, he's seen it somewhere before. Oswalt trying to get back into the match, gives it some room. How about the 2-pin trip? Not this time. And so he'll have to settle, hopefully, for a 9-pin spare. Trip the 2 and the 3rd.
And gives it way too much room here. Aiming about at the 2nd arrow, and he's over almost the 7th board. Goes out to about the 4th and doesn't want to make it back. Fortunate, really, to get away with just 9. And he just barely hit the 2-pin this time.
Boy, we've had a marvelous summer on ESPN. This is our 12th telecast. And once again, a number of people involved in helping us throughout the year. And from a player standpoint, Frank Ellenberg, Butch Soper, and also Chuck Pierce, who work in the truck and also keep score for us throughout the summer, do a marvelous job. We just want to pat them on the back.
Couldn't get along without him.
I can't keep score that well. How about you?
Buzz needs to, can still potential 243. Needs to set himself up for the 10th frame here. Give it a lot of room again. Knock that 10-pin out of there. Buzz's carry has been good when he's gotten it in the 1-3. It's just that he's missed it twice. Actually 3 times, and he got that 1 strike.
Potential 243 for Buzz Oswalt, but it may not be enough.
Allison going at a 239 pace right now. He would need a double in there to lock him out. Got that light bulb blowing that 5-pin out of there.
I know one thing, if this continues, there are going to be a number of folks going out tomorrow and buying some 14.5-pound bowling balls.
Watch it come in light. Right over the 7th board. See that follow through in the open hand? Now watch the 5-pin. The ball hits it, and the head pin went into the 4, knocked out the 7.
Well, certainly it'd be a little easier on you physically to throw maybe a 15-pound ball.
Oh, especially. It's a great tip for especially senior citizens, those type bowlers, and even lighter down to a 14-pound ball.
To really apply the clamps at this point, and he throws it through the nose and asks for nothing other than perhaps an 8-pin conversion.
And did you see him speed up the approach? He got the ball started too soon. The feet had to catch up, and the ball was left as soon as it left his hand. Right here he pushes, and the feet go real quick. See, real fast there? Now the ball's left right now. The follow-through went further right, if you noticed, and he's fortunate to get away with just leaving the 3-6.
It's amazing what pressure will do to you, even a great bowler like Glenn Allison. Stretches out and converts the spare. Possible 239 now, but Buzz Oswalt, should he strike out, could shoot 243.
So still has a chance. That's all Buzz can ask for, is a chance going into the 10th.
Kind of amazing. The tables are turned a little bit. Last year, Oswalt had to sit there and watch. This year, he's got a position to do something about it.
There's the shot he was looking for.
It's always easier the second time.
Well, those fill balls always strike.
Well, 239 is not a bad game, Mike Darrel.
Actually, higher scores than I thought we would see. They weren't striking that much in practice then.
Glenn Allison averaged 209.4 throughout the week, so 239, excellent performance. But first things first, there you see the scoreboard. Buzz Oswalt with plenty of work here in the 10th.
Been light twice in a row. Same shot 3 times in a row, and he breaks it down for only 5. He never made the adjustment then. He needed to move right or something.
And there you see Buzz shaking his head. Sometimes, though, Mike, you do get locked up on a particular lane, and you making the adjustments, you just the reaction.
Well, that's on to face Glenn Carlson.
Let me ask you this, Mike. In Buzz's situation, do you make a drastic change maybe with that shot in the 10th because you know you've hit that lane light 3 times in a row? Do you make a drastic change or no? It didn't look like he did.
Well, it's what's going on in your mind. If you're coming up light and hitting your target, you've got to move to the right. You've got to move the feet 1 or 2 boards over and keep that same target. If you've come up light and made an errant shot, then you have to stay and aim at the same target. So you have to judge the quality of the shot. And evidently it was his execution, because right there he just threw it where he wanted to and went dead flush.
Now Glenn Allison pats him on the back, and Buzz realizes, well, this one's a little easier to take perhaps than the one that he lost last year for the title. $4,000 for Buzz Oswalt. And there you see Glenn Allison. He is past the first hurdle here. And there's a look at the opening game, 239 to 223. So Allison keeps moving on. Don't forget, bowling news is coming up next. Welcome to the final edition of the Bowling News. Just 2 weeks ago, I showed you how the sport of bowling was used to raise money for Jerry's Kids. And tonight, I'll be introducing you to yet another exciting idea which involves the game of bowling and yet another excellent civic project. What do birds, bears, kids of all shapes and sizes, and the sport of bowling all have in common? The Akron Zoological Park Snow Bowl, of course. That's right, this coming January 16th at Stonehenge Place, bowlers from all over northeastern Ohio will be testing their 10-pin talents. The proceeds from this year's inaugural event will benefit the Akron Zoological Park in a number of ways.
Basically, we'll be using the funds for the welfare of the animals, their conservation, their health, the renovation of their exhibits, and we'll also be using those dollars to help make the place a more educational and fun place for our public to visit. So when you come to see the Akron Zoo, you'll see the improvements made by those dollars that many other funds couldn't possibly do.
Without question, bowlers and bowling fans are some of the most loyal sports enthusiasts anywhere. And Akron, Ohio is certainly no exception to that rule.
It's really a treat for the Akron bowling proprietors to be involved here with the Akron Zoological Park, to get the 30-some thousand bowlers in our greater metropolitan area to back the park, and we're going to raise $50,000 this year to help the zoo progress and to build some new pens, to help feed all these animals, and to take care of this 30-some acres of beautiful park we have here in the city. And the bowlers that we've talked to are just eager and waiting to be involved and help show the close-knit familyness of the bowling people to back the Akron Zoological Park here in Akron.
Lest you think that only 200 average bowlers will have a shot at fame and fortune in the Akron Zoological Park Snow Bowl, that's hardly the case. The Pro-Am event is open to one and all.
The people who bowl in our city, I think, will come through and tell other people, even people who maybe have never bowled before. Someone like me who hasn't bowled for 10 years and probably would, throw around a 62 if I were lucky. It's still going to be fun because of the way it's set up.
This coming January 16th, the bowlers of northeastern Ohio will have a golden opportunity to brush up on their bowling skills and also lend a hand to the Akron Zoological Park. Being confined to a wheelchair doesn't necessarily mean that you can't still enjoy competitive bowling. Take Marvin Dennis, for example. Marvin captured the AMF Seagram's Cooler Get Things Rolling Tournament held recently in Altamonte Springs, Florida. After qualifying in the regionals, the Northridge, California resident bowled 141 pins over his 121 average for 3 games en route to winning $3,000 in first-place prize money. At any PBA seniors tournament, a trip down memory lane is as important as the opening round of qualifying. Tonight, the PBA would like to salute its oldest living member, Wrong Foot Lou Campy. For those of you who don't remember, almost 30 years ago, Lou won the first ever PBA tournament in Albany, New York. He's now 82 years of age, and we want to wish him a speedy recovery from a recent operation. Throughout the years, the so-called experts have debated whether professional bowlers are really athletes. Our Jim Duff offers this update.
I'm an athlete personally. There are some that are great bowlers that some would consider not an athlete.
In any sport you do, you have to be in good shape.
In the world of professional bowling, there is a renewed emphasis on getting in shape. And many bowlers, like 25-year-old Amleto Monticelli, strongly believe in benefits to be derived from lengthy morning sessions involving yoga. Amleto practices it for more than an hour each and every day. Or jogging. He runs about 6 miles a day. Or weightlifting. Palmer Falgren hits the weights 2 or 3 times a week while touring 6 days a week in the off-season.
Starts it in and sends it out. Perfect.
Funny. It used to be that pro bowlers really weren't thought of as good athletes, but now that's all changing. With the stakes so high, more and more bowlers are turning pro. And with increased competition has come an increased emphasis on fitness. Fitness in a sport where the difference between winning and losing may be a few extra miles. Our new workouts at the health club.
They are not athletes in the sense of the hardening it might take to be a pro football player. But through the 42 games of a regular PBA event, a bowler will lift over 5 tons, and he'll carry it over 2 miles and project it at a target 60 feet away with unerring accuracy and spin over 700 times. Now, in order to do that competitively, I feel he has to be some sort of an athlete.
36-year-old Palmer Fahlgren works hard to keep his athletic body in shape. At each and every PBA stop, you'll find him grunting and grimacing at some local health club, whether it is bench pressing for his upper body, squatting with weight to increase leg strength, or riding the stationary bike for overall aerobic fitness. Fahlgren feels the effort is worth it. Over the years, exercise has added 30 pounds of muscle to his frame and a lot of confidence to his game.
Weightlifting, I feel, has really prolonged my career and helped me out a lot.
In what ways?
Well, it's strengthened my legs. Bowling is a game where you need to be real strong with your legs and real steady. Also, the upper body exercises, some for the arms, the forearms, to stay strong with the lift with the ball. And all these strength exercises builds your confidence and your self-confidence in yourself, which relates directly to your bowling.
When it's 93 degrees in Oklahoma City, you don't always feel like running. But young bowler Amleto Monticelli has not missed more than 3 consecutive days of exercise in the last 4 years. He knows that the miles put in today, the sweat, the toil on the road, or the intense concentration required to complete his 27 different daily yoga exercises just might make the difference the next time a key match is on the line.
When you run, you build stamina, and or any kind of exercise, you just you get so well physically that your brains work a lot better, and you can think more positive without even trying. You just are more positive to it, and that helped my bowling a lot.
And next time you watch a PBA tournament and marvel at how easy these guys make it look, remember, there's a lot more to this sport than just rolling a ball. There's pressure, concentration, and competition. And that is why you'll find the likes of Amleto Monticelli in some contorted position, or Palmer Fahlgren working out with several hundred pounds of weight on his shoulders. 2 athletes pushing their bodies to the limit with the hopes of striking it rich in the sport of professional bowling.
I'd like to take just one moment to thank Jim Duff for his exemplary work this past summer. Also, Chuck Pisano for keeping me in line, and thank all of you for watching. We'll be back next summer. That's it for Bowling News. And coming up in match number 2, a pair of Glens, Glenn Allison and Glenn Carlson here in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship.
I'm looking forward to it, Denny, and I understand that you're going to be doing some of those games.
Yeah, I'll be involved in a few here or there on Thursday nights and Saturday nights. Really looking forward to that. Long Beach State at Fresno State, my first game on October 1st. So, boy, I'm looking forward to the fall schedule on ESPN.
I'll tune in and watch it.
All right. Who do you like in that game, by the way?
Well, I'll just...
Who knows, right?
Who knows, right?
Oh, that'd be an exciting game on the West Coast. Back to the live bowling action.
In this game, though, I'll go on a limb and say Glenn is going to win it.
I knew you were going to do that to me. And you're right. Glenn Allison picking up right where he left off on the championship pair, 39 and 40. Glenn with 8 strikes in the opening game, shot a 239. It was good enough to defeat Bus Oswalt, but now he's got Glenn Carlson on his hands.
Well, the thing is here, Dan, that these 2 bowlers just don't have enough experience. We've got one guy here that's been a member 27 years, Glenn Carlson, and Glenn Allison's been a member 29 years of the PBA.
Glenn Allison is a charter member. Oh, how about shaking him loose a little bit? 5-pin left standing on lane 40 for Glenn Carlson, who earlier this year made the championship round in the seniors tournament at the Showboat.
He did, and what I noticed on this first shot, Dan, is that he has changed his line from the line that he had all week long. He's moved from the extreme outside angle into around the 7th or 8th board where Allison's playing the lanes.
Mike, when a player shoots the 5-pin, are they, in essence, trying to help themselves get lined up for the next shot as we take a look at 50-year-old right-handed Glenn Carlson, who's just a rookie here on the tour?
Yes, they are. We see this week's average much better than his yearly average. I don't understand why his yearly average is so low. He must have had a bad tournament in there somewhere. But definitely, whenever a professional bowler of any caliber leaves a 5-pin, he's going to practice a little bit on it, try and get that strike line a little bit more zeroed in. Ooh, slides by in that left-hand lane.
Well, obviously, Glenn Carlson in a situation where is he going to have to move his feet or his target, Mike Durbin, because he was light on both lanes.
I don't know. I
Do you
think
move both?
I think maybe he should move back to the line he'd been playing out there around the first arrow, around the 4th or 5th board instead of where he's at. The ball's going to hook more out there.
Oh, I just love his arm swing. Isn't that gorgeous?
Has a nice rhythm. He strives to, what he's trying to do is to get the ball in motion quickly. He feels his problem is that his timing gets a little late and he carries the ball too long, so he wants to get that into that swing fast. Allison, who's had the pocket zeroed in so far with no problem.
Trying to open up quickly with a double. Anytime you see Glenn Allison get down on one knee, it normally means he's throwing a pretty good shot.
Our commissioner of the Professional Bowlers Association, Joe Antonora.
Glenn Allison leads by 12 in the early go here of match number 2. And there you see what happened earlier this week. Bit of an edge, perhaps, psychologically. Doesn't mean much, though, in the championship round.
No, I can remember one tournament that I beat Mike Berlin in 3 times. Then when we bowled on television, I got beat. So
just so happened that was the Firestone Tournament of Champions, too. So that was a costly title. Might mention, of course, the winner of this championship will be heading to Akron, Ohio on, I guess, what, the last week in April?
yeah, not everybody knows that. Of the PBA Seniors Championship, the winner of that gets a trip to Firestone for 1 year.
I'll give you one better than that. I was at the tournament this year, and this gentleman right here was leading after, what, 3 games this year in the Tournament of Champions?
Was he really?
Yes, he was. Glenn Allison came out of the gate and shot like 270 and 280 or something like that. Led the first 2 or 3 games. And then, of course, as the tournament wore on, Glenn started heading backwards. But, boy, he had a smile on his face at Riviera Lanes this year.
Well, he says, I got a chance to get back there next year. They got to knock me out of it.
He wants to come back for a return engagement. Loves this part of the country, even though he is from California.
And he did just that. He moved back outside.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? Shifting and moving and trying something a little bit new.
Well, the reason that he played a little bit further in is there's more oil there. He was playing what we call like the hold shot. But there was evidently too much because he couldn't get the ball into a roll. So he moves back out where the lane is a little bit drier, where he's played all week long, and he can get the ball into a heavy roll. He has to execute properly out here, but at least he knows what the ball's going to do if he throws it properly out here.
Glenn told me that he bowled much better in the night blocks when he could get the ball to hook a little bit and react for him. Back out again, and good shot, but he leaves. That was like a 3/4 10. I'm going to say that was better than a half 10.
And again, there's the heavy ball leaving that corner pin. Allison throwing that light ball and really having no trouble striking. So maybe Glenn Allison has a little bit smarter than all the rest of us.
Well, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that that game in and game out that a 14.5-pound bowling ball is going to carry better than a 16-pound.
Well, it's not 14.5. It's 14 pounds, 15 ounces.
Oh, okay. So it's nearly 15 pounds.
1 ounce short of 15.
Well, Carlson converts the 10, and we've got a very close match indeed. An 11-pin lead for Glenn Allison, and there you see the sweet swing.
a nice get well card from the network. Some of the folks here at Hall of Fame Lanes for Janet Bueller, who at this point in time I'm sure is watching the telecast. She's still recovering and doing very nicely. And there you see your husband Wally, who is well, he's kind of picked up where she left off here this week trying to run the tournament. It's not the same without you, Janet, so make sure you get back next year.
I think all of us echo those sentiments.
Joining us up in the booth now, Commissioner of the PBA, Joe Antonora, and we'll get his thoughts on the senior tour here in a moment or so. Glenn Allison on the right-hand lane leads by 11.
Unusual shot here.
Ground level. And the swisher, but the 7 stands.
Again, that light ball getting out that 5-pin with no problem. There were a lot of those type hits this week where that 5-pin and the head pin would go right in front of the 7-pin.
Quite a few solid 7s and solid 10s this week as well, though, Mike.
Even more solid 7s than we had solid 10s, I think, Dan.
You know, it's great, though. The seniors don't groan as much as the touring players.
Well, you develop patience with years, they say.
Oh, is that what it is? Joe, let's talk about the senior tour. I can remember working the very first event back, I think, in like 1980 down in New Orleans, and there were like 60 entries. There were 115 players this week.
That's correct. We're getting more and more players eligible, Denny, every year, and the fields are growing, and we now have to go to 2 squads.
For the first time ever?
For the first time ever.
Well, it's amazing, and it's going to get tougher and tougher to win on the senior tour when some other gentlemen start to turn 50. Now, Glenn just throws his hands up in the air and says, I need a break up there somewhere, and he gets it with a Brooklyn.
Well, he got a few of these during the week, and every now and then he gets those feet fast, see the swing away from the body, and the follow-through goes just kind of steering it up there. He just let that ball go, but he trips that 6 with the 3-pin.
How about a little help, he says? Oh, no problem. Glenn Carlson threw an excellent shot on lane 40 the last trip.
Just like that.
Carbon copy. You know, Glenn is involved working in Fresno with one of the collegiate bowling teams there, and volunteers his services, and does an outstanding job.
I understand, Joe, that we're going to have another seniors event in this coming October.
Right, Mike. We've added a 4th tournament for 87. We'll be going to Fort Pierce, Florida. Fort Pierce Bowl with Ken Matthews in October will actually be the kickoff event on a fall tour.
Trying for the double.
Once again, the same hit. 10-pin stands again, Mike.
Left lane just a hair tighter, and he can't seem to knock out that 10-pin. He's either got to get it up there a little flusher or get a little better lift on those fingers or soften up the speed just a hair. All of those are just very subtle adjustments that a bowler will sometimes try and make to get those corner pins out.
Well, it's amazing. The fans have really turned out this week, and they enjoy watching the senior players every bit as much as they do the touring players as Carlson converts on the 10-pin. Wouldn't you think that would be so, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with you, Denny, and I think the seniors enjoy performing. They still got a lot of the ham in them, and very colorful, and they enjoy it too.
Allison up by 10, trying to increase it to 20 with a double in the 6th frame.
Joining the senior tour next year, Earl Anthony for sure, I believe. Oh, my goodness.
Earl committed at the press luncheon this year for this tournament that he would bowl here next year.
Oh, the love tap on the 10.
I tell you what, Glenn better watch it. He went down that time and almost slipped and fell.
Carlson with a little disgusted look on his face, because when you come in light like that, watch the 6-pin slide into the channel and then just fall on the 10. It's really a good break, and that can really be a motivator for a bowler. Joe, what do you see 3-4 years down the road as the future for the senior tour?
Our goal, really not a 5-year plan, but it'll take about 5 years, Mike, is to get to a tour of about 12 tournaments, 2 a month over a 6-month period.
Well, you gentlemen are certainly heading in the right direction as evidence of the action here this evening. Allison comes up with a turkey in the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Leads by 30. He's in control here of match number 2.
And just in case you don't recognize that gentleman, that's Bruce Pluckon, the curator of the National Bowling Hall of Fame and Museum in St. Louis. And for my money, Mike Durbin, one of the finest sports museums in the country.
Have you been through it, Dan?
Yes, I have. I had a chance to go through there earlier this spring.
Really is outstanding.
Oh, tremendous. For bowling fans, if you get a chance, right across the street from Busch Stadium. So if you're still in a situation, you got a little vacation time left, you're heading through the Midwest, you're going to stop in St. Louis, do yourself a favor and check out the museum. Boy, it's tremendous. Meanwhile, Glenn Carlson finds himself in a bit of a tough spot, down by 30, tries to break things up a little bit, but you just get the feeling that Glenn is not really comfortable with the angle he's playing.
Well, he's just, when you don't carry that half pocket hit, that weak 10, it can do all kinds of things to you with your hand release and then to your head. Because then you start trying to fit it in just a little bit tighter to strike, and it just plays mind games with you. Bowling is such a mental game. Right now, Mr. Carlson is still potential 236 if he would go all the way out, and Glenn Allison is going at a 228 pace right now if he would spare strike the rest of the way. So we're almost to the point where we say that if you can do it with a pencil, you can do it with a bowling ball, and Carlson better start striking.
Glenn Allison breezing here in game number 2, catching his breath a little bit. Had a tough match with Buzz Oswalt in the opening game. Boy, what beautiful footwork that time by Glenn Carlson. Didn't rush to the line that time. Really took his time, made a classic shot.
And you see the difference when a bowler is not on a strike as compared when he is on. He's a little more relaxed here. Watch the deep knee bend now. Nice long slide. He gets heavier fingers. See that deep knee bend there? The good follow through. And the heavier fingers is what knocked out the weak 10. Sometimes when you have a strike up, you get a little more apprehensive and you don't get as heavy of fingers.
Well, Glenn Allison's got a strike up and a couple behind it. He's working on a 3-bagger at this point. Trying to extend his lead a little bit.
Boy, he is throwing it sweet. And this is as good as I've seen Glenn bowl in a long time.
And I think it's as good as Glenn Carlson has seen him bowl in a long time as well.
Believe me, Allison, made our championship run, but he did not bowl this well last night. I watched him for most of the night, and he's really taking advantage of the fact that he's gotten in here executing beautifully.
Glenn with 6 career 300 games, and as we mentioned, 3 of those came in one night.
He strikes here. It's the lockout shot, Ben.
Well, let's see if he likes it.
A little high. See the feet get fast again?
His mistake on lane 30 has been high a couple of times.
Well, it's not the lane. It's the push away and then chasing after it. He gets that ball down too quick. Now watch the feet go quick to catch up, and the ball gets outside and then pointed up high right away. When I mean outside, I mean at the top of his backswing. It's what they call a little swing out.
Allison's been very fortunate too, though, Mike, with respect to the fact that he's thrown it through the nose 3 or 4 times now and gotten away every time.
Well, hey, when you're getting the breaks and things are going your way, that kind of thing happens.
And meanwhile, you're Glenn Carlson. You're sitting on the bench thinking, holy cow, how can he keep getting all those breaks?
Right now, he's thinking, I got a strike here to stay in this match. Sometimes getting that first double can unlock the door.
Possible 226. He's going to need all of it.
Almost a solid 7 that we were talking about, but it knocked it out of there.
Well, he's a pretty cool customer, this Mr. Carlson.
50 years old, just 2 seniors tournaments, and been in the championship round both times. Got a strike every time here just to make Allison mark.
On the television pair, Mike, Glenn Carlson with games of 268 and 235, averaging 251.5, the highest of the top 5 finalists.
They throw all those pins away, though, Dan. It only matters what you knock down.
It's a shame
tonight.
you can't bring a shopping bag or something. Bring a couple with you on Wednesday nights. Oh, this is desperation shot here. Come up the ladder a little bit. Not quite. 10-pin stands up, and that the bowler nemesis for Glenn Carlson here this evening.
And you see the difference between the bowler that carries and the bowler that doesn't. 3 10-pins on this left lane, and this one's lighter. You think you might get a blower here. Watch the 6-pin. Slides off into the channel, doesn't hit the 10. And Allison was carrying those hits. Carlson didn't. That's why Allison's going to go on the bowl, Darrel Curtis.
Well, only a possible 205. That's not enough. And Glenn Allison is making a serious run here, Mike Durbin, and becoming the first player to win this tournament back-to-back, isn't he?
Absolutely. I'm telling you, he's looking better and better as each frame goes by, because he's just throwing every ball in the pocket.
Boy, he looks relaxed to me. Very confident. And, of course, you'll want to stay tuned in just a moment or so, because Mike Durbin's average builder coming your way.
This is kind of a special tip.
You know, if I watch any more of those, Mike, I'm gonna be averaging 298 by next year, because you've given me more advice this summer than I can't hold on to any more of it.
It's like you're doing with me in another sport. Is that it?
Oh, got to give them a hard time. Does a terrific job with those average builders. We get comments from folks all over the country. And rightfully so. Oh, my goodness. Little disco move that time for Glenn Allison, and he's in a position now to shoot a little 247 at Glenn Carlson.
Glenn had 8 strikes the first game, and in this game right now, see, he's got 7. He could get 9 if he gets a couple more, so it's pretty good average. 8 a game. I tell you what, you're tough to beat when you start getting 8 strikes a game.
You give me 8 strikes a game, I'll figure out what to do with the spares. Nice profile shot there.
Both
Beautiful bowling establishment, Hall of Fame lanes, and the Hall of Fame city. Glenn Allison, well, that thing's spinning like a top out there, but the 7-pin hangs on. Nice round of applause, though, as Allison notches victory number 2.
And both players with clean games. I think we've only have 1 open frame so far with all our senior bowlers.
That's right. Buzz Oswalt missed the 245. Other than that, you're right. Well, I think it's a misconception. People think that as you get a little bit older, you can't bowl as well, and that's certainly not the case. Glenn Allison proving that point this evening. Another handshake, another win. How about another wink for the camera, Glenn Allison? Not this time, but we'll see him in slow motion. Glenn Allison with a 237-205 victory in game number 2. As he just continues to move right up the ladder here in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. Next match, there you see him, Glenn Allison and Darrel Curtis, the average builder, coming up next.
I've instructed many pupils over the years, and many of them have trouble understanding what I'm telling them is wrong with their game. I tell them that their backswing is too high, or that their backswing comes away from their body, various other things, and they really can't understand it because they can't see themselves doing it. They can't visualize, therefore, what they should do to correct it. Well, I think I found a teaching device that will not only enable them to see their mistakes, but to see when they do it properly and teach them by the means of muscle memory to do it the same way time after time after time. The device that we found is called Bowl C. And as you can see, Bowl C is a mirror that sits across the lane. The mirror is high enough so that the ball rolls underneath it, and I am able to see my entire body in the mirror throughout the entire approach. The mirror has 2 crosshairs on it. It has a vertical crosshair and a horizontal crosshair. The purpose of the vertical crosshair is to line it up with my swing or your swing so that I can see when I'm swinging it straight. The purpose of the horizontal crosshair has many purposes. I could line it up with my head. I could line it up with my shoulders. In this case, I've got it lined up where I want the ball to be on my first step. Right at where that crosshair is, the 2 of them meet together, is where my ball should be on the first step. There are a lot of different things that we can learn from this mirror, but the idea behind it is that I do it right, and it teaches my muscles when I'm doing it correctly. Then after I do it enough times, seeing myself do it correctly, I develop what is called muscle memory, and I do it automatically that way, and I don't have to think about it anymore. Let me show you. As I said, the vertical crosshair here is lined up with my swing. You can see that it's right in line with my swing here. And as I take my step and push the ball away, you can see that the ball goes right out to where those 2 crosshairs meet. As I let it swing, it's right in line with that vertical crosshair. Now, if I should happen to swing it offline, out this way, I could see that. Or if I swung it the other way, inside line, I could see that. This can not only be used as a teaching aid to develop my arm swing, it can help me with my push away. It can help me with my walk to the line. It can help me with my backswing. It can help me with my follow-through, with my finish position, and yes, even with my hand release. I help myself with my hand release watching it here on Bowl C. Now I'm going to throw a shot for you here and just give you an idea of what it looks like. And what you should watch for is to see how it's lined up, my swing, with that vertical line. Here we go. Pretty good teaching device, isn't it? I really think it has tremendous potential. Well, we've had a lot of fun over the summer. We've learned a lot of things, and hopefully we've built our average up somewhat. We'll see you again next year.
And here's an update on the career PBA senior earnings. Dick Weber didn't quite get to the championship round this evening. Neither did Carmen Salvino. Boy, both of them were close, and they're on top of the list at this point. Billy Walden had an excellent tournament here a couple of years ago with 42,198. And Les Sykes and Bill Beach round out the top five. Teata Semiz and Glenn Allison, rather, in the 8th position. Both of those gentlemen in a position, if things work out, where they might be able to add $16,000 to their earnings here this evening. But we'll just have to wait a couple of more minutes to find out what happens there. Meanwhile, though, down to the practice pair we'll go, to Mike Durbin, and also there you see the top seed, Teata Semiz. Michael?
I am with Teata Semiz, the man who's led this tournament so far for 36 games. Teata, the first question I've got for you is you had a little practice session with Freddie Borden earlier in the week, and he gave you a tip about hand positions, and you've tried that this week. What have you tried, and how's it working, and why have you done it?
Well, what I've tried this week is trying to keep my thumb in towards my body until it gets past my hip, because if I don't do that, what happens is on a push away, when I open my thumb up to the right, my swing bumps out. It goes behind my back and bumps out to the right, where it makes me pull the ball this way and overturn it, of course. And this way, if I keep my thumb in, it gets my roll up a little bit higher, and my shot isn't to the left of my target. It's on target or to the right of it, and that's what I'm looking for.
So it's worked pretty well for you so far this week, then?
Yeah, it sure has. I've hit the thumb hole a couple times this week, which usually don't happen.
So your track's been higher this week than it normally is?
Definitely higher. Yeah, definitely.
Teata, you've been a member of the PBA for 27 years. Some people say you've been the best part-time player in the history of the PBA. That's a long time to be successful. What do you attribute that longevity and that success to?
Practice, bowling with my kid back home, Tommy, in a league, in the summer league, and also bowling on Friday nights with him. I just keep at it. I just don't. I don't think I have missed 2 weeks in 25 years of bowling, except for vacation time. That's it. I just keep on bowling.
So the practice is going to pay off tonight, huh?
Well, I hope so. We'll see. I got one game to do it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, Dan, he says he practices a lot, and we're going to see if it pays off in just 2 games.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that people realize what an excellent player Teata Semiz is, but he's going to have to wait because Glenn Allison and Darrel Curtis are going to fight for the opportunity to play Mr. Semiz for the championship. Handshake between Darrel Curtis on your right and Glenn Allison, who is now 2 for 2 in match play competition in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship here at the Hall of Fame Lanes in Canton, Ohio.
And the definite favorite in this game has to be, in my opinion, Allison, because I would think that Curtis is going to be just a little bit nervous.
Well, it's a good pick considering the fact that Allison's averaging .238 for the opening 2 games. And there you see the baby split on the left-hand side of the lane. Opening shot for Darrel Curtis. Not exactly the way you want to start.
Well, bowling on television is a learning experience, and sometimes you just have to do it in order to learn it, and you have to take your lumps sometimes. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen to Darrel, but
first ever appearance on national television. He has bowled on regional television. And that's the way you want to start, right?
That'll definitely make him feel better.
Pick up the old 2-7, and you can see him leaning back and breathing out that air.
Played it perfectly from that outside line, came in, hit the 2-pin on the left, and deflected into the 7.
And here's a view from the cockpit, the broadcast booth. Glenn Allison, boy, he has started with a bang in both of his opening matches.
That's one of the keys in match play competition, Dan, is to get out ahead of your opponent early. And well, I've talked too much about the light ball. It just keeps striking. It's just like any other ball. He's throwing strikes with it.
I was going to say, come on now, after a while. But, boy, look at the numbers, 239 to 223. Bounces back with a 237. That's about as consistent as you're going to get.
And he had 7 strikes in one game and 8 in the other, so.
Glenn Allison now 10-5 in championship round appearances with a 201 average, but that number is steadily on the climb.
helped that one a little bit. If you watch the follow-through, it went left. And you see him, he did just that. He knew he had done it.
You were telling me last night that if you watch the follow-through, it'll instantly tell you what the ball's going to do.
So many times it will. Watch his follow-through here. Head steady. See the follow-through go left? That follow-through is a weather vane as to what happened at the release. And at the point of release there, it wasn't what Glenn wanted. 2-4-5, and this is the one spare he said he did not want to shoot today. That's why he chopped the 2 off the 5 last night in the final frame and had an opportunity really that he could have missed the championship round. There's an adjustment for that. You got to hit that lead pin, which he does, but it goes around the 4. So many ways to miss it.
Back to live action, and very quickly Darrel Curtis steps up and takes advantage of the opportunity.
And Darrel Curtis says, what do you mean tough bowling on television here? This is easy. This is fun.
54 years of age. His 87 average under 200, but look at this week, 212.69. High game of 279, and he just flat blistered him last night.
And he shot that 279 as his wife looks on against Teata Semiz. First game of match play last night.
Boy, she really had a tough time last night watching him bowl, believe me. Oh, it's cave-in time as Darrel puts his hand up and his wife says, well, geez, we were due for a break somewhere. And there you see the dour expression of Glenn Allison. Nothing worse than watching your opponent go up there and throw it through the beak.
And strike.
And strike, yep. That'll tear your heart out, won't it?
Never bothered me a bit.
Oh, jeez. You'd have been pounding the rosin bag and everything else. Come on. And all Allison can do is step back up and make another good shot on the right-hand lane.
Boy,
that one is way outside. Oh. Came back. Glenn Allison flat hooked that one from one end of the lane to the other.
Wow-wee. Really, folks, there's not that much room to aim at. I mean, I don't know why this one came back, but it did.
Boy, that's 7 straight strikes on the right-hand lane. And I think he likes it over there. I'll tell you what, instead of Mr. 900, I'm going to call him Mr. Fingers from here on out.
Well, right now he's down 22 pins. He better be Mr. Strike on this ball. Oh, there's the adjustment for the 2-4-5, and it's a 6-7-10. It's 7 again, but a tougher 7. He's got to go for this, then. He's
First split of the night for Glenn Allison.
Watch the follow through. Kind of points it, steers it up there again. The swing is just getting away from his body a little bit in the backswing, and he's steering it on this left lane. He won't trust it that it's going to come back. Right through the heart of the pins and doesn't break it up. We mentioned last game that he broke up that hit and left only the 6 pin, and he's going for this. Boldly went for it, cost him 4 pins.
Well, I think you're right, though. He was in a position where he pretty much had to early in the match, but Darrel Curtis at this point on a double is in an excellent position. And here's a look back at PBA Senior Championship history. Last year, of course, Glenn Allison. Year before, Billy Walden with a big victory.
And, of course, the great one and only Carmen Salvino and Hall of Famer Dick Weber in 1983.
Both of those two gentlemen making a bid for the championship round here last night and narrowly missed.
And they bowled each other. Carmen Salvino leaving a solid 8-pin that cost him the championship round.
I'd have hated to have been that 8-pin the way he stares him down. Ooh. Darrel Curtis going to cross over and carry again. Waves it goodbye, and some things are just meant to be.
And I'll tell you what right now, Dan, if I were Teata Semiz over on the practice pair, I would be loving this. I would want to get Glenn Allison out of there as he crosses over to the Brooklyn and the 2-pin trips out the 4 like a right-hander. Because I'm guaranteeing you, Teata would rather bowl Darrel Curtis than Glenn Allison.
Because he's never won a title?
Right, and he's just not hitting the pocket. He's missed the pocket now 3 times in a row, 4 out of 5, and he's shooting 2-team. You just don't figure a guy's going to keep getting those kind of breaks.
Well, do you think that Glenn Allison's out of this match yet?
No, I don't think Glenn Allison's out of this match yet, unless Darrel continues to get that kind of luck where he carries crossovers and everything.
Well, he makes his spare. Plenty of room yet for Allison, but he's going to have to get lined up in a hurry. As there you see Teata Semiz, the top seed. Teata with 4 PBA titles, trying to make it number 5 and a return engagement at the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
And Glenn, who's had no trouble with lane 40, just needs to take him one frame at a time and put a little pressure on Darrel Curtis and see what happens. All right, let's see if he can make the double. If he can make the double, then we'll see how Curtis responds.
Boy, it's been a great summer through and through, and so many people help us week in and week out. A lot of people don't realize when you get a chance to talk about some of these folks. Of course, National Tournament Director Harry Golden, my good friend and partner Harry Smith handling the statistical analysis tonight. Kevin Shippey, the Public Relations Director of the PBA, along with that press corps, Jimmy Collins and Mike Sands, and of course, the one and only ESPN Television Coordinator, Chuck Pisano. Guys, thanks a lot for a great summer, and we'll hope to see you next year.
I echo those sentiments.
Allison looks for the big double. Gotta have it at this point. Oh, a little shaker, a little mover. And Allison kind of climbs back up out of the grave.
But the follow-through was right there. Watch the follow-through, Dan. Watch the follow-through. Right on up that time. With the open hand, comes in light. The head pin goes to the wall and does its job on the 4-5-7. Back live, Darrel's up quickly and through the heart again. He's only hit the pocket one time. Breaks up the split one more time. And his wife saying, on that spare, come on, make that spare.
I think Sandy at this point would like to maybe coach him a little bit if she'd have an opportunity.
She's saying, hey, it's supposed to go on the 1-2, not through the 1-2-3.
Oh, no, not the chop of the spare. 2-pin right off the 4, and that's the first mistake thus far, open-wise, for Darrel Curtis.
See, and suddenly it's down to a 24-pin match right now. Allison steps up and throws a couple more strikes. He may regret going for that split and costing himself 4 pins. He'd only be down 20 right now if he'd have simply got 9 out.
Darrel Curtis bowled absolutely brilliantly last night. Made a real run at the lead. Matter of fact, if he could have beaten Semiz by 13 pins last night, he'd have led the tournament. So he bounces back with a big strike in the 7th frame on lane 39. Boy, hang on. We got a wild semifinal game. Canton, Ohio, synonymous with the National Football League Hall of Fame. And there you see Earl Schreiber, Board of Trustees, NFL Hall of Fame. And if you've never had an opportunity to go through that museum, while we're on the subject of sports museums tonight, boy, it is absolutely fantastic.
Have you been through it then?
Yep.
Yeah, I have too.
Hey, I'm a Browns fan.
It's a treat. There's a lot of Browns and a lot of Rams in that thing.
I knew you'd get that in somehow. Allison trails by 24, but he's going to try and help himself out a little bit here, working on a double. And we're in the 7th frame, semifinal game. Little tight, little high, and the 7-pin is the last to fall, but it finally dropped.
The 4 and the 7 going down slowly, but they went down.
Better late than never.
All right. Key shot of the match coming up right here, I think. As we see, he's on a turkey. Allison is trailing by 14 pins. Can really put the pressure on Curtis now with a strike.
But the left-hand lane has been a problem.
That's right. So he has to discipline himself right now to make that good shot.
His mistakes, for the most part, have been through the nose high on the left-hand lane. Let's see.
Again.
Well, is that lane hooking that much more, Mike, or is he just not making good shots?
It's him. It's not the lane. He just gets those feet fast, and the follow-through goes right. Watch the feet again. Quick, quick, quick. See the swing away in the back? Now watch the follow-through. In and then back out. Not trusting it. Just did not execute good. 3-6-10 needs to convert this to stay in the match. No problem.
Darrel Curtis eyeing the scoreboard. Curtis leads by 17. He is working on a strike in the 7th. And with the double here, could really apply some pressure.
Allison still potential 209. Curtis going at a 206 pace right now. High again, leaves only the 10 pin. He
better
thought
shot
about
though on the right-hand lane.
A little bit better shot. keeps Allison in the match. So Allison is going to step up. And no matter what Darrel does with this spare and in the next frame, Allison is going to have a chance to take the lead in the match if he can strike out. Just hangs on to make that 10 pin. His wife mirrors exactly what's going on down there by her face.
Got to tell you a funny story. She said, Denny, last night, it was 25 years ago last night that I had my first daughter. And she said the labor pains were unbelievably painful, I guess, best way to say it. But she said, I think last night watching the championship round was even worse than that, if you can believe it.
Light.
Oh, no, not now. Not the washout.
1, 3, 6, 7. And if he fails to convert this, if he would get 9 out, it's going to be a 2-pin match.
Boy, this has been back and forth, back and forth. Both players with a pair of opens, should Darrel Curtis not convert on the washout.
And really, Darrel Curtis has only hit the 1-2 pocket twice.
Giving it a run.
Oh, what a bad break.
My goodness, off the board, but not quite. 7-pin remains. So the best that Darrel Curtis could possibly shoot if he would strike out would be 201.
And as we see him hit it over the right of the hip pin, what he wants to slide it over, but he goes to the sideboard and then straight back out. The difference in this match right now, Dan, is that 4 pins in count that Glenn Allison lost back in the 4th frame when he boldly went for that split and wound up getting 7 out. If he'd have got 9, he'd be ahead by 2 pins instead of down by 2.
Good point.
If he'd have got 8, we'd be tied.
Well, we're all down to the 9th and 10th now. This has been his good lane. Plenty of room. And look at this. My goodness, the 4-5, 1-pin rolling around, and it's not going to help. In disbelief, Glenn Allison turns around, but realistically, Mike, you can make the 4-5.
And again, the ball is only 14 pounds, 15 ounces. Watch it deflect here. It'll go to the right. The head pin goes to the left and doesn't come off the sideboard. Got tied up in the channel and left the 4-5. He thinks it's going to get a wall shot. A couple years ago, he left a 5-7 against Dick Weber in the same type of situation and missed it.
Moves to the left to try for the conversion. Let's see if he can fit it in.
Nope. He knew he'd missed it.
Well, 186 now, the best that Glenn Allison could possibly post. Well, but force Darrel Curtis to mark.
If he can post it, it has a chance to be a winner because Darrel Curtis is on shaky ice right now.
Meanwhile,
Thin
Teata,
ice.
Teata Semiz standing by and waiting for the title match. Allison gives it room this time on lane 39 and a little bit too much room. 2-pin stains.
Spare and a strike's going to finish with 176, forcing Darrel Curtis to get 7 pins on 2 balls.
I think he can handle that.
Yes, I do too.
Well, Darrel counting his blessings because he was in a position where he could have had the match pretty well wrapped up, kind of gave it back, and then Glenn Allison returned the favor. Nevertheless, really an outstanding week. I don't think people realize, Mike, how tough it is to come back and try to defend a championship on the PBA Tour, whether it's the seniors or the normal touring players.
It is exceedingly difficult. I know Ted Hannes did it in Peoria, and it's just a tough task to do.
And, of course, Walter Ray Williams Jr. this past summer.
Right. I was trying to think of that. It didn't come to my mind.
Well, Walter would have reminded us, I'm sure, if he were in the area. Glenn Allison with a handshake for Darrel Curtis, as Darrel at this point needs 6 pins. No, 7 pins. No, actually 6.
6 pins, right? Yeah. 6 pins to give him 177.
And that's how you want to win a match, when you only need 6. Got nice and loose, threw it out there, and of course hit the pocket. So Darrel Curtis will advance. There you see Sandy trying to get excited, but I think she's still looking up at the scoreboard. I don't think she's sure if Darrel's in the title match or not.
Well, he is, let me assure.
What's going to happen to her in the championship game?
Well, it depends how close it is.
Well, the scores weren't necessarily as high, but it was an entertaining match.
Well, let's see if that one match can settle him down and he can start making better shots against Teata Semiz in the championship matches. He has a chance. One thing's for sure, we're going to give that red coat to somebody new this year.
Well, Glenn Allison's got one, but I'm sure he would have loved to have added another one to his repertoire. And so we have now finished out the semifinal game. It was
A question of survival for Darrel Curtis. 190 to 176. Stay tuned. Coming up, the championship game between Teata Semiz and Darrel Curtis. And you see what happens when you win on the PBA Tour. You get a nice kiss on the cheek. Darrel looks a little concerned, but Sandy, she's got everything, I think, handled at this point. Don't you think, Mike Durbin? As you take a look at the matches here in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship, Allison made it through the first couple, but ran into Darrel Curtis in the semifinal game.
Well, as you mentioned there, it was a question of survival, and Darrel Curtis proved that he can survive out here. The question is now, can he settle those nerves down and go on to defeat Teata Semiz to win his first PBA title of any kind?
Well, you had an opportunity to talk to Teata just a couple of minutes ago. He appears very confident heading into the championship game.
He appears confident, Dan, but he's also a little tight. You know, we noticed that today when we were with him earlier today, that he's just a little bit tense and everything. He really wants this. You can sense it. Sometimes when you're that tight, it's hard to execute properly.
Boy, it's been a marvelous summer on ESPN, and we'll recap a little bit and take a look back at some of the other champions throughout the '87 summer tour as we take a look as Dick Weber opened things up with a last-second victory over J.B. Blaylock.
When J.B. unfortunately missed that 10-pin in the 10th frame, then we saw Firpo and Warren come through in the clutch to win the doubles.
Mark Baker, I don't think couldn't have bowled much better in that Kessler Open.
Well, he got that break in that second frame and capitalized on it, went on to shoot, 250 and defeat David Ozio.
And then out of the gate quickly for a very talented left-hander, Parker Bone III.
Parker was very impressive in beating Scott Devers. Brian Voss finally got rid of his nemesis and won from that top spot in Southern California.
And then down in Tucson, Devers came bouncing back with a big victory in that Miller Lite Challenge.
Very exciting tournament when he struck out in the 10th frame there and beat McDowell. It was a great match that time.
And on subjects of striking out to win, Kent Wagner and Philip Ringner. Boy, did they put on a show down in Austin, Texas.
Maybe our best match of the entire summer. Ringner finished out there with 248. Kent Wagner needing all three in the 10th, struck it out for 249. Then we watched on to see Walter Ray defeat all the left-handers in Edmond, Oklahoma. He was very, very impressive.
And for the first time in many, many years, the tournament, PBA tournament, went up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, the capacity crowds, and it was Rowdy Morrow and Mickey Spezio who held on to win there.
And again, the team of McDowell and Weber went all the way to the top, but Morrow struck out in that 10th frame, forcing Weber to do it, and Weber just that time wasn't up to it.
And Mark Roth with the great 299, then went on to bowl Chris Warren for the title in Buffalo, and boy, that was probably one of the most exciting shows of the summer.
Really a highlight when we saw that 299, just an electric show. Roth and one. Many people may think, you know, one of the best performances ever in the history of professional bowling. Something that people will say, hey, I was such and such a time when Mark Roth did that. Then we watched in Canada, Harry Sullivan say, hey, I'm going to win, and he went on and did it. Shot a big 240 game, won easy.
Well, we've been so fortunate, Mike, the last couple of summers on ESPN to see some great, great matches, and hopefully the title match tonight will be just as good.
Well, if it's anywhere near as good as it was last year when it came right down to the final ball, the fans are in for a treat, so don't go away.
Okay, for the accountants watching the telecast this evening, let's take a look at the top money winners on the PBA Tour. Pete Weber with $156,000 plus, still leading the way.
Well, there's still 5 tournaments to go to see who's going to be that leading money winner. McCordick still in second with 144. Ballard in third. Walter Ray still needs a little bit to get to 100,000 there. And, of course, the great Marshall Holman.
Mike, it's amazing, too, because realistically, all the way down to Dave Ferraro, 8 different players have a shot at winning $100,000 on the PBA Tour.
That's just great, Denny. I think that's outstanding. It shows that bowling is progressing. The PBA is getting more and more to shoot for, and guys can make a real decent living out there.
And what about knocking down those pins? Well, resting comfortably in Medford, Oregon is Marshall Holman with a 2-pin lead.
He's looking good to win that George Young High Average Award. Pete Weber in second. Also Dave Ferraro with 216, Albie and Voss with 215.
Well, when you look at those numbers, the way they stack up, Mark Roth near the end of the summer probably bowling as well as he has in many years.
And just the scores have been high all year long. And 10th place on the average list is 214. That used to lead it easy. So the scores have been higher this year, Dan.
Well, I know that your commentary on the exciting balls, the new balls that are out on the market, and also the pins, those scores just keep going up and up and up. As Mike and I have mentioned, we've had just a lot of fun this past summer covering bowling on ESPN, professional bowling that is, and there are many, many people that have helped us along the way, and we'd like to have you take a look at some of those folks, maybe pat them on the back.
there's only 2 of them left here in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. Teata Semiz to your left, Darrel Curtis on your right, and this one is for $16,000 and a beautiful brand new red sports coat.
And ironically, the man in his first television appearance with no experience, as opposed to the veteran, I think is more relaxed. I really think Darrel Curtis right now is more relaxed than Teata Semiz. I've never seen Teata so uptight.
Well, he has not won a singles title since 1977, so he is hungry for the victory for a number of different reasons. Obviously, $16,000 on top, but I think you have to keep proving to yourself that you can win.
That's right, and that's exactly the point. It's been 10 years since that's happened for him, and you begin to doubt yourself. Ooh, all right.
Well, he's an exciting spare shooter. There's no question about that. First look at Teata Semiz, Anthony Teata Semiz. And if you get him in the right mood once in a while, he'll even sing a little Frank Sinatra for you.
Oh, will he really?
Oh, yeah. He can sing. He can bowl, too.
Good loft. Good shot. Left that 4-pin right out of the gate. The right lane for Teata is hooking more. And that's where he played all week long, right at that first arrow. All week long.
Well, he knows what it's like to strike here at Hall of Fame lanes in Canton. Finished 3rd here a year ago. Also has a 4th place finish and a 14th place finish in this championship. But he's never won.
This would be his best opportunity to do just that. At the 4-pin. A lot of speed, very little hook.
Won his first PBA title all the way back in 1968 when he captured the Ebonite Gold Cup in Mountainside, New Jersey. 53 years of age and still smiling, Anthony Teata Semiz.
I remember that tournament because that's where I bowled my first sanctioned 300 game.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did you get a patch or what?
I got a ring,
oh,
Dennis.
That's right. Patch beats a ring. No, ring beats a patch anytime.
Yes, ring beats a patch.
You still have that ring?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What's this, 20 questions I'm asking? I don't even know. Back to the championship match.
Has to hurry. Leaves the 7-pin. But a decent start for Teata. I mean, he's uptight right now. This will get him a little bit loose. He hit the pocket his first 2 shots. This may be another survival game right here, Dan. Just which bowler can survive through the 10 frames.
Well, Teata Semiz has a wealth of experience. Been there many, many times. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good.
No problem.
Teata, very good spare shooter, wouldn't you say, Mike?
He's an excellent bowler all the way through. A tremendous athlete. 5-step player. Watch his deep knee bend here with the right knee. Watch the right knee bend. Head down, follow through, comes up. Nice form. Curtis. Ooh, he's getting looser and more confident. I'll tell you what, if he can put a double on the board right now as his wife looks on again, he is really going to make Teata squeeze that ball a little bit more. And he looks just calm and loose and relaxed now. Now, I don't know, he's a good poker player, I don't know.
Yeah, they won the Washington State match play event to qualify for the U.S. Open back in 1980. Has been a PBA member only 5 years, a little different than some of the other finalists who are lifetime professional bowlers, and somebody dropped something right in Darrel Curtis's backswing, and he had the presence of mind to pull up and reload, as they say. Boy, that could change this match dramatically because Curtis was working on a strike in the second. Let's see if he's able to gather his senses.
So hard to do that, Dan. Oh, he did it, though.
Yeah.
He got it back.
Yeah, he sure did.
Well, I didn't think it was going to make it up there. Playing way outside now. Outside the first arrow. And it's just going to make it at the last second. Comes up light in the 1-2 pocket, sends the head pin to the wall, and gets that 5-6-10.
Back to work for Teata Semiz in the 3rd. Trails by 11.
Right there for Teata. Big shot coming up right here.
Darrel Curtis gets up, changes chairs.
See, as opposed to Glenn Allison, watching his follow-through almost be able to dictate every shot, Teata has very much the same follow-through all the time, but what happens with Teata is that sometimes he clears that thumb clean, and other times it drags, and he doesn't get it out as quickly, and he goes a little bit over the top of the ball, or he doesn't get an exit difference of time between the thumb and the fingers, and it's not as good a roll.
He needs to roll one here. Needs a double to really keep things tight. Like the shot, he does carry on lane 39. So for Teata Semiz, it's a double. Curtis is on a double. Don't go away. We've got a very good title match coming your way. And there's a look at a healthy prize list this week in the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. 16,000 big ones on top. Geez, not a bad payday for second, but I don't think either one of these guys wants to finish second.
No, they don't. When you think that most of these seniors spent the bulk of their career bowling for $3,000 and $5,000 first place prizes, and now they get a chance as a senior to win $16,000 first.
Well, if Teata Semiz would win here tonight, it would be his first, or his biggest first place check ever. $16,000, won $17,000 one time, finished second in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Finished second to the great one, Earl Anthony. Oh boy, Mike said this would be the key shot on the right-hand lane, and Darrel Curtis with a ticklish situation.
The 3-6-7, he gave it room, but it just didn't come back. He's got to make this. Right now he picked up the wrong ball. Cross lane, he wants to hit the 3-pin on the right and slide it into the 7. A little extra time. Too much.
Well, they went for it. Wasn't going to leave anything behind on that shot. Sometimes you don't get the ball out far enough to even give it an opportunity, but he cut it off a little bit short, it looked like that time.
See, in one frame so critical. Semiz was down 1, now he's up 18. As Darrel Curtis takes no time.
A little more speed on that shot and shakes him loose. Didn't look like that ball was going to get to the pocket, but boy, he made a right-hand turn.
Yeah, left lane, he's getting the ball back on.
Teata ready to put the vice grips on Darrel Curtis here if he could continue to strike. Working on a double, he leads by 18. Left the 4-pin in the first. Nice flush strike in the third. On the right-hand lane.
Boy, he's increased that speed and loft, and he's just drilling the pipe. He's gone to the frozen rope shot.
Don't get too many shots better than that one. And, you know, all summer long, Mike and I sit up here and have a great time, and it looks so easy to all of you out there. And there are many, many people technically involved in the summer tour on ESPN. Our producer, Tom Williamson, and director, Kent Samuel, two of the finest in the business, have provided us with some amazing pictures. Great reaction shots all summer long, guys. Thanks for everything, and hopefully we'll meet in the same spot next year.
Teata trying to lock this match up early. Up by 28, increase it to 38.
Boy, he gave that a lot of room. Bouncing, dancing around a little bit. And when you see one of the seniors run it out, it's serious business.
Watch the loft. Watch the follow-through. See, the follow-through is the same. Now watch the 6-pin, second from the right. Goes to the sideboard and tries to get that 10, but it wasn't good enough to lift. As he says, come on, ball.
Boy, Teata working hard to the left that time. It just couldn't shake that 10-pin loose.
No mistake, so he makes that 10-pin with no problem. Darrel Curtis, though, down by 27, as we see Bill Supper from the Ebonite Corporation, Vice President of Sales.
And a pretty fair bowler in his own right, a PBA member. As a matter of fact, he won the Bowling Writers Tournament earlier this year. Nearly shot 700 at those guys. Same type of mistake on the right-hand lane. Once again, Darrel Curtis, I think, is lost at this point on lane 40.
He's just not throwing the ball well, Dan. He's not getting out of the thumb clean. See, it's hardly turning over. Now it starts to turn over way too late. He's got to make this washout to have any chance to stay in this match.
Come on, Darrel, give it a run. Up once again, a little bit too much room. He shakes his head and knew it as soon as he let it go. And Teata with a little slap of both his hands, trying to encourage Darrel Curtis, and realizes, boy, there's nothing worse than getting into that title match and not having a chance to bowl well.
Well, Actually, you know, Darrel got a lot of breaks to get into this title match in the last game.
Well, regardless of what happens to him tonight, he'll pick up his biggest ever PBA paycheck, $8,500. Once again, we see the baby split on the left side, the 2-7, and he opened with that.
And he changed angles. Suddenly he moved into the second arrow there, figuring, well, he had to try something. He wasn't coming back from the outside angle. He figured he'd try moving in.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating when you're out there in front of a national television audience doing your best. Well, he's got that spare down. Yeah, split conversion. He makes that look like it's nothing. Down by 45 sticks. And experience tells me once you get that far behind this gentleman right here, you're in a world of trouble.
Especially when you have no clue how to get to the 1-2 pocket.
Mm-hmm. Teata looking to get back into that X mark. Oh, this one's a little high, and boy, he gets a big break. Leaves the 3-6-10 and almost had the 7 with it.
Interesting. He gave that one more room, and it hooked quicker. Its speed wasn't as great that time. The speed was a little bit slower, and that ball grabbed instantly. It's what they call the overreaction. He wants to keep that ball right around that 5th board with a lot of speed.
Well, Teata's wife, Virginia, obviously watching this one tonight, along with the rest of the children, Lori, Tommy, Michael, and Marissa. Straightened it out a little bit and picked up the 3-6-10. Well, he's been a classic performer for a good many years.
Been one of the